Let's start off to the bottom right-hand side of the map with the blue Terran player. This, just going 1-1 against Uthermal there, is souL. And to the top left-hand side, our red Terran player, this is Ziggy. Okay then, setting up and looking to see how this goes. Just going to be having the refinery coming down on the left-hand side. So refinery drops down on the left-hand side here, and we are just going to be having the couple of SCVs coming along from each player. Both players opening on the refinery first, of course, into the racks. The real question is it a double gas, or is it just a one-rack gas play into an expansion? As I before, we talked a bit about this map earlier, and we do seem to like this one. It seems to be one of the favorites amongst the players as well. They really enjoy playing it. It's one of the ones that gets very positive reviews when players come out of game. So an SCV coming across to the bottom side here, as Ziggy will have a look to see what is going on in these early stages. Barracks coming up. We do just have a few moments to really get this going. Again, this tournament's sponsored by Blizzard, guys, so shout out to the Blizzard for putting on the Team Liquid Map Contest Tournament yet again. $4,000 of prize money being sent out to these players. And I also would like to remind you, if you've seen any plays today which you thought were really cool and really kind of cool uses of the maps, we have prize money set aside, $700 set aside for what you guys think are the best plays using the maps throughout the tournament. So if you've got any suggestions, tweet them at us, clip them, tweet them at us, suggest them. You don't even have to clip them, just say, oh, at this moment when Thingy did that. We'll add the suggestions together, and there will be a poll, a vote coming up later for you guys to vote on your best plays using the maps. I know right now, souL flying into the neutral missile turrets was a big was a big positive for a lot of you. I'm not quite sure if that's eligible as a great play, but well, who knows? Who knows? That clip's pretty high up on Reddit at the moment. Alright, anyways, we get going into this, and I was just reading the Reddit comments of that souL flying into the flying medevacs into the turrets thing, so sorry, I was just being amused for a moment or two. But yeah, Reaper sent up here from Ziggy out off to the left-hand side, and the command center on the natural expansion is going to be finishing in just a few moments as well. So both these guys getting set up into the natural CC or so. Really nothing too, again, surprising, crazy, out of the ordinary, I would say, so far on the TvT. Starports come up on either side. That's nice, though, because we don't always see kind of Starport versus Starport play. We got to see in one of the maps of Uthermal versus souL, and we'll get to see it in another map here right now, as there's a couple of Reapers going to get pushed back out into the center of the map. Reaper getting chased away up that ramp there. A couple of Marines coming forwards, and the Reaper from Ziggy does take a little bit of damage. Again, a few more SCVs and a couple of mules just gathering up too. And we do see the medevac and the Hellion continue to be produced right now in the main base of Ziggy. So medevac and a Hellion about to pop out. A couple of Marines going to be coming out here too and just joining at the front. Bunker from souL comes up on the natural expansion also, so he gets in towards that bunker. Bunker coming in, we see this Reaper hopping up to the high ground, and while those couple of Marines are actually going straight after that Reaper, Reaper goes down, but he does see the Hellion drop getting set up, so Ziggy, somewhat figured out here already, kind of already known what he's going to be getting up to, it seems. As he does start to drop along to the bottom side of the map, getting aggressive with these Hellions, and seeing if he can find some damage. Raven on the way up from souL. He actually starts Cloak, maybe a bit of a fake out in terms of if Ziggy is able to scout here, as those Hellions are going to be dropping into the main base in the next couple of moments. And as these Hellions drop off, well, the Cyclone's actually going to pop out pretty much perfectly in time to help deal with this. Ziggy will go for some SCVs here. Interference Matrix on the medevac means that these Hellions are going to be stuck. With only 2 SCVs killed, this was not a great setup, so now the medevac will go down too. Oh, complete shutdown by souL. Ziggy's opener could not have gone much worse there. Loses everything for just 2 SCVs and a small SCV pull away. Not what he would have been looking for. Not what he would have been looking for. Yeah, I actually joked about this as well, but the souL flying medevacs into missile turrets. I did say maybe Lambo should win the money. Like, He executed a defense using the map so well, he didn't even have to do anything. And he actually wins the game because of that play. So really, it should be Lambo's money for great play, right? Well, we're just going to be seeing the couple of Cyclones and a Raven just going to set up on the left-hand side. Now, we do see another depot just continue to set up here too. A tank sieging up from Ziggy also. Now, we do see this interference matrix will set down, which allows souL to push straight on up, and oh man, well, that tank disappears pretty much instantly here. However, the two Cyclones of souL also go down, and he will lose the Marine fight afterwards. So actually not all positive for souL. Ziggy doing good there and holding on and also harassing at the same time. So putting a few kills down at this point as we see about 3 SCVs taken down here. More SCVs and mules. Just getting back to work. 3rd CC from souL set up as well. Libra is just resieged over in the main base, so getting that going once again here. And as that Liberator just resieges up, we're going to be seeing everything else from souL just getting back home. Liberator dealt with here 6 minutes in. We do see the 3rd CC now being established from Ziggy too, but souL's already a couple of steps ahead on him on that one. This command center looking as though it's going to finish in the near future on the 3rd, in location as well. Ziggy still has the army supply advantage though, and with an army supply advantage, there's a lot that can be done here. +1 armor, +1 attack, and the stim pack all coming through still here from souL. We do see the Cyclone, Marines, and a Raven gathering together on the right-hand side, or just in front of the 3rd base. Marine, Cyclone, and tank just going to continue working their way through these rocks as well, so just bopping those down, shooting them through, and obviously continuing the attack towards the bottom right-hand side. Stim pack will finish here in a moment. And as Stim pack finishes, we'll see this Raven coming forward. Oh, that siege tank from souL gets a good connection into the center of those Marines. Very nicely done here, as we'll see a couple of tanks, Marines, and a Cyclone continue to work their way through the rocks. Ziggy looking for these aggressive options, looking for these moments when he can actually attack on into this here. Still hasn't found anything just yet though. Raven coming forwards again, maybe looking for that anti-armor missile. And there's so many options with the Raven here. Anti-armor missile, just the straight up interference matrix to outnumber the tanks. As souL waits, he will get +1 armor faster than his opponent, and obviously he'll want to wait because he wants to even up the +1 attack upgrade. So souL's not eager to take a fight unless he's already pre-sieged in a defensive position, so it's really down to Ziggy to make something happen here in the next about a minute or so, I would say. I guess when souL gets the upgrade, he will look for a fight, but then we might want to wait for combat shields too. It's not far off, and it is kind of risky to take a fight without combat shields if your opponents could finish up during the engagement. Anti-armor missile is huge here though, and that could just be game-changing in itself. You don't even need the upgrade advantage if anti-armor missile is down. And now we're going to be seeing souL come through and he picks off those tanks. Ziggy loads up what he can, gets out of there, but it really isn't all that much at all. So we do see those medevacs escaping back up to the top side. Another 8 Marines loading up into a medevac and heads on over to the right. Marine, Cyclone, a couple of tanks, another medevac as well, all joining together. I'm going to continue pushing up to the top. Yeah, and these units of souL just pushing through the center right now. We do see a couple of siege tanks just going to be setting up here, scan on top of this army, and well, again, souL has the Raven, so he can interference matrix the first tank. The other tank is actually very far out of position, will not be part of this fight at all apparently, as souL comes down the ramp and he straight up takes down that first tank as well. So good push forward so far. And let's continue to be cleaned out here. 8 SCVs fallen on the other side of the map though. Ziggy with a counter-attack drop once more, dealing a little bit more damage and keeping souL from just pulling thoroughly ahead in this game. You know, right now souL could not only have an army lead, but he could also have a worker lead. As it stands, Ziggy is able to keep one of those even, but man, now the tanks get forwards and they're going to be able to target fire that tank in the distance. However, it does mean the Marines at the front are having some trouble. Still, though, souL just has a little bit too much running forwards here, and using his tanks so methodically, picks off the medevac that was heading back home as well. That goes down. And now just going to be seeing again more of these Marines still just pressing forwards. 2 upgrades from souL, going to be setting on up here, as we do see these Marines just continue to work away. Sensor Tower takes a little bit of damage. Well, Ziggy has a couple of Liberators showing up, but I'm not sure 2 Liberators are going to make the difference against this many Marines, and well, they just disappear instantly. as Ziggy tries to push forwards. They snowballed pretty quickly for souL in the last few moments. We'll see those Marines do get rid of a tank at least, but it is going to be GG, and that is going to be souL taking the action. Some fun back and forth. Ziggy putting up a good fight. As to the bottom right hand side, the blue Terran is souL. And to the upper left hand side is the yellow Terran player, Ziggy. Alright, so souL is obviously a point up here, a little bit slow to pop that on. Guys, these matches now, Ziggy versus souL, Ziggy versus Namshar, and Ziggy versus Euthermal. These matches are cast from replays. They were played during the rest of the games. Obviously we can't cast 2 games at once, and we didn't show snippets, highlights, scores, or anything like that going on, simply because we wanted this to be a spoiler-free experience through and through for you guys watching the games. So no one knows the scores of these matches, apart from the players. So here we go. As we get this set up and into game number 2. You see these workers jumping into gas here, and oh, actually Ziggy is already dropping down a couple of barracks on the other side of the map. That's what I get for reading the chat a little bit, isn't it? Thanks to Mill for the host, and hi everyone from the Mill stream. Hope you guys are doing well. Hopefully you're doing a little bit better than the Mill. He has powered through today for a lot of the matches. And this has already been a long stream, guys. This has been the 5-hour stream at this stage, actually, already. So we're already 5 hours into these matches. And this is also one of the reasons we let some of the players play some of their matches just while the other games were going on as well. Because otherwise, we'd be 5 hours in with like 2 matches left to play after this. It's just not fair to the players to keep them for that long, I don't think. So we let them play so the players can finish up a little bit faster. We can still cast the games as though they're fresh and go from there. Reaper is going heading towards the upper left-hand side. First scout from souL is going to reveal that, well, he's in some trouble because he doesn't even get across the map before the Reapers show up in his middle line. That said, he might be able to micro that Reaper around and get some damage done with it. It does mean he'll lose some workers here, though, in the meantime, because he has nothing to defend until this Cyclone and the Reaper show up. Well, let's see what he can do. He already slows down the factory by killing off one SCV. Obviously, still has to put a lot of attention into micro in this, though. And that's obviously one of the issues, because he also has to micro against these Reapers on this side of the map as well. Cyclone is about to pop up. And is going to move in towards those Reapers to start shutting them down. Reaper's still alive here and is still going to stay alive, getting some good counter damage done. Obviously, if you're getting counter damage done like this, you can afford to take damage on the other side of the map a little bit more so than usual. Again, has to start kiting away as soon as more SCVs get pulled in. That factory will finally finish and will start to put an end to this Reaper attack. And as we see, 6 for 6 workers, not bad, and it's still going on here. As souL gets more damage done, he'll die for this SCV as well. Ziggy can't really go a good way for it, and Ziggy's already down 12 workers here on Kairos Junction. As we see, that Reaper is just going to try and pull the Reapers of Ziggy so far away, just to make sure it's going to take them as long as possible to get back to the bottom right side of the map, back into an aggressive position. Cyclone will finish in a moment or two. There's actually 2 Cyclones heading towards the upper left. There isn't a lot actually from Ziggy to defend. 1 Cyclone versus 2, even if the Reapers kind of back it up. It's not really a lot. You will have high ground though, and you will have the Reapers in front, and actually that's going to work perfectly. And you will get 1 Cyclone kill. The Cyclone going to try and trade for the other Cyclone now, but it's not going to work. Oh, those Reapers actually worked better than I thought they would. The high ground obviously helps massively, because it basically reset it to 1 Cyclone versus a Cyclone 4 Reapers pretty much straight away. Starport comes up in the main base. Natural CC of souL will obviously not be moving out for a little while here, but is on its way to finishing up. And by the time it's finished, by the time it's morphed into an orbital, the reality is souL should have a pretty good opportunity to move down his ramp and into the naturals. You see a scan here from Ziggy trying to take advantage of these Reapers still. And those 2 Cyclones really sucked for souL, because it really takes away what he can kind of, just how quickly he can push back down this ramp and retake his natural. The racks are moving away, so Reaper production is done now from Ziggy, as we see one of the Reapers gets taken down. Another Cyclone about to pop. The second Cyclone becomes a bit of a different scenario, pushing against these Reapers and pushing down the ramp. Another Cyclone shows up though from souL, which means that, from Ziggy, which means that souL does have to be somewhat careful here. Still trying to push on down. In the meantime, Ziggy still sat 7 workers behind. In the long term of this game, Ziggy is still in trouble, because even if souL isn't expanding yet, he already sits on more workers. He will eventually take an expansion, and there's no way Ziggy buys enough time to realistically get an entire command center built and into this game before souL has his natural up. So souL's going to have a huge lead here. Not only is he going to lead by 5 workers, he's got an army supply lead, he's going into Cloak Banshees, he's got an entire command center in his favor. And a Cloak Banshee, when there's only 1 CC of your opponent, means that there's so few scans that you can really oftentimes find a lot of damage. This room comes back into the main. This barracks, which was sent into scout, is going to find some info. Ziggy finding what he can, and he will get 1 more SCV at the very least, if not 2. Okay, well, not bad for the last Reaper, considering that really shouldn't have done anything here. The Cyclones, good micro from Ziggy, able to save it, and we will see souL having to back away again. Unsuccessful with these Cyclone counterattacks so far. Unable to really get much done at all at this stage, so a little bit unfortunate in that regard, as those Cyclones do pull down towards the bottom right-hand side. Cloak Raven on the way up now from souL. So he actually does have, what, 1 Banshee, then straight to the Raven. Bit of a different way of going about this. I like these little carts of minerals, by the way. Don't see why we can't just send an SCV over to collect them. Extra 500 minerals, thank you very much. As long as my opponent doesn't know about it, seems balanced to me. No, we could finally balance Protoss. You know, you have these little carts, which you have minerals in around the map. So Terran actually can go and collect them. But probes can't, because, you know, how is a probe going to be able to collect through a card, whereas a Terran can lift in. A probe can't lift into the card and get the minerals. Ah, there you go. That's how we balance the game. We just have Terran able to pick up 500 gas, 500 minerals from different points of the map. We fixed it, guys! Nice. Jokes aside, cool little doodads around the map here, decorating Kairos Junction. Banshee runs out of cloak as it runs into a missile turret anyways, doesn't go down. souL is ran into some missile turrets already today, but that's not going to be another one he runs into, as you do see those Cyclones coming up the high ground and picking up another kill or so. souL's on Raven. Obviously, it's going to be a second Raven. Really powers him up here. It's actually kind of crazy. He's going to have double Raven. That's so many interference matrix. It's a possibility for not only an anti-armor missile, but interference matrix on top of that. And 2 Ravens are just such a great utility. It takes a lot of investments. 400 gas early in the game, but the value you can get out of them, you can nullify the use of multiple high gas units of your opponent for a short amount of time. Obviously, if you take the fight in that short amount of time, boom, you're in a golden position. So let's see how this goes as souL. Well, I guess the issue for souL right now is he's pushing, but he doesn't really have a massive army. And these Cyclones especially are going to be difficult to fight against. Anti-armor missile will land on a Cyclone. Taking away the armor makes them a lot more vulnerable to the Marines and his own Cyclones. Still pushing forwards. We're going to be seeing a couple more these Cyclones taken down. Interference Matrix to try and help the fight. Still grabbing a couple of kills as we go. Coming up this ramp, those Cyclones want to push away to the side. Marines still coming up, and we are just going to be seeing the tanks here actually showing up as well to pick up some further kills. Wow. I mean, these Cyclones would usually, I think, win against these tanks, and they are starting to. But the fact the Cyclones are just so low health has meant they're being going down pretty quickly. 2 more Cyclones in production. The Ravens still just sat a bit to the south. Third base from souL is finished versus the finishing third base for Ziggy. It's a 15-worker lead for souL. Banshee comes in, we do see a few workers still dropping. 6 workers killed here. Again, that Banshee picking up a little bit more damage. A little bit more damage done. So 6 workers down. 2 more Cyclones about to pop from Ziggy as we have another Hellion. Not going to come up. He's going to try and play mech here, but I mean, if there's ever a position to to play from behind, mech is obviously pretty great. It kind of bring you back in the game and keeping any games in which you're kind of behind in. But when you're not even set up properly onto the mech, I think it's very difficult to play mech from behind. So that's going to be a real difficulty, I think. I'm not sure how this is really going to go. As you do see a couple of Ravens, a couple of tanks, the Marines and Medivacs heading into the center. These Cyclones are Ziggy, though. I mean, look at these. These are going to be in a little bit of trouble, aren't they? I'm going to get intercepted in the middle. Stem forwards. Doesn't actually get any kills just yet. Combat shield's about to finish, so push here from souL that could just put an end to this game, honestly, because again, Ziggy does not have the numbers to truly stand up against this. A tank, you say? Not anymore. Interference Matrix is pretty good. Well, right now he's fighting without the tank anyways. Okay, now he's going to Interference Matrix attack. Now it's going to go down without really getting to fire at all. Cyclones from the back, well, they'll be able to do something. It's just going to be GG though. souL takes game number 2.